6 warning signs. A family member is truly dangerous when family becomes the source of pain. Have you ever stood in a room full of family and felt completely alone? The laughter fills the air, conversations flow effortlessly, yet something deep inside you feels off. A certain family member, maybe a parent, a sibling, or a relative, has a way of making you feel small, uncertain, or even powerless. Their words cut, their presence drains you, and no matter how much you try to rationalize it, you can't shake the feeling that something is deeply wrong. We are raised to believe that family is sacred, that blood ties are unbreakable. But what if that very belief is what traps us in cycles of pain? Society tells us that we must always forgive, always endure, because family is family. But what if some family members are the ones causing the most harm? Seneca once said, "We suffer more in imagination than in reality." And yet when the pain comes from those closest to us, the suffering is all too real. Unlike the wounds inflicted by strangers, the scars left by family cut deeper, because these are the people who were supposed to love and protect us. It's easy to dismiss their behavior, that's just how they are, or maybe it's my fault. But deep down, your instincts tell you the truth. Some people are not merely difficult, they are destructive. They manipulate, deceive, and wear kindness as a mask. They operate under the guise of love, but their actions reveal something much darker. This isn't about minor disagreements, misunderstandings, or personality clashes. This is about something far more insidious, something that erodes your sense of self over time. These individuals do not just inconvenience you, they undermine your well-being, your confidence, and even your perception of reality. The Stoics teach us to focus on what we can control, and one of the most critical things we must control is our awareness. If we fail to see the signs, we risk being pulled into a web of guilt, obligation, and emotional harm. A web that tightens with every excuse we make for their behavior. So today, we will uncover the 6 warning signs that indicate a family member isn't just toxic, but truly dangerous. Not to spread fear, but to bring clarity. Because once you recognize the truth, you reclaim your power. Some truths are hard to face, but they are necessary. Stay with me until the end, because the last sign might just change how you see family forever. 1. They enjoy your pain. When family becomes the source of your suffering, there is no greater betrayal than realizing that someone who shares your blood takes pleasure in your suffering. Family is supposed to be a refuge, a place of love, support, and understanding. It's where you turn for comfort when life gets difficult. But what happens when a family member not only fails to uplift you, but actively delights in watching you fall? This realization is unsettling, even painful. It goes against everything we are taught about family. We grow up believing that those closest to us should be our greatest supporters, that no matter what happens, family will always have our back. But some family members break that trust. At first, it's easy to explain away their behavior. They don't mean to hurt me. They're just blunt. They express love in a tough way. But deep down, you know better. You feel the shift in energy, the subtle digs, the way they react when you struggle. Over time, a pattern emerges. They don't just fail to support you, they seem to enjoy your struggles. Signs to look out for. They mock your failures or belittle your achievements. Every time you share good news, their response is lukewarm at best, dismissive at worst. Instead of celebrating your success, they undermine it. If you face a setback, they don't offer support. They remind you of your shortcomings. Their words are wrapped in sarcasm, disguised as jokes, but you feel the sting behind them. They say, "I told you so," instead of offering comfort. When things go wrong, they don't console you or help you find a solution. Instead, they use the opportunity to boost their own ego, acting as if your failure somehow proves their superiority. Their reaction is not one of concern, but of satisfaction. They disappear when you need them most, only to reappear when you're at your lowest, not to help, but to watch. When you succeed, they are distant. When you struggle, they are suddenly very present, not to offer support, but to observe. It's almost as if they are waiting for you to fail. You sense their satisfaction when things go wrong for you. This is perhaps the most chilling sign. There's a quiet smirk, a subtle shift in their tone, a barely concealed sense of victory when you are struggling. They may not openly celebrate your hardships, but their energy makes it clear they like seeing you down. This is not normal family behavior. This is emotional sabotage. Why they do it? Insecurity and jealousy. Your success reminds them of their own shortcomings. Instead of using it as motivation, they resent you for it. Power and control. Seeing you suffer gives them a sense of superiority. If you're struggling, they feel stronger in comparison, a deep-rooted pattern of toxicity. Some people feed off negativity. They don't just survive in chaos, they thrive in it. These people do not want to help you grow. They want to keep you small. How to respond? 1. Recognize the reality. This is not love. The most dangerous thing you can do is continue justifying their behavior. This is not a phase. This is who they are. Their actions are intentional. Once you see this, you will stop waiting for them to change. 2. Stop seeking validation from them. You will never earn their approval, no matter how much you try. They are not looking for reasons to support you. They are looking for reasons to tear you down. Marcus Aurelius once wrote, "The best revenge is to be unlike him who performed the injury." You don't need to prove anything to them. Their opinion does not define you. 3. Set firm boundaries. Distance is protection. You do not owe them access to your emotions. Protect your peace by limiting how much you share with them. If someone uses your pain as entertainment, stop giving them a front row seat. Keep conversations surface level. They don't need to know your struggles, dreams, or successes. Don't react emotionally. The less you feed their negativity, the less control they have. Physically remove yourself when necessary. If someone constantly brings negativity into your life, stepping away is not selfish, it's survival. 4. Refuse to engage. Walking away is not weakness. It's wisdom. When someone enjoys your downfall, it's not love, it's control. They want you to feel powerless, to question yourself, to stay in their toxic cycle. But here's the truth. The moment you stop letting them manipulate your emotions, you win. Do not seek explanations. They will only twist the narrative. Do not try to change them. It is not your job to fix their toxicity. Do not let their energy dictate your life. You are in control. Choose awareness over obligation. You cannot change who they are, but you can change how much power you give them. Blood does not obligate you to endure mistreatment. If a family member consistently undermines you, drains you, and enjoys your pain, they do not deserve your presence. Walking away isn't losing, it's reclaiming yourself. 2. They compete with you, not support you. When family becomes a rival instead of an ally, family should be a foundation, a place where love, encouragement, and unwavering support thrive. It should be a space where your victories are celebrated, your struggles are understood, and your growth is met with pride, not with rivalry. Yet, some family members see you not as a loved one, but as a rival. They measure themselves against you, constantly competing instead of celebrating, treating your successes as threats rather than as sources of pride. At first, it might not be obvious. It might come across as playful teasing, innocent comparisons, or motivational reminders. But over time, the pattern becomes clear. They are not happy for you. They are competing with you. Signs to look out for. They downplay your achievements. No matter how hard you work or how meaningful an accomplishment is to you, they always find a way to minimize it. If you land a big promotion, they brush it off with, "Oh, it's just luck," or "I did something even bigger last year." They constantly compare themselves to you. Instead of simply being happy for you, they turn everything into a point of comparison. If you lose weight, they remind you that they lost more. If you get a degree, they mention that theirs was harder. It's as if your success is a benchmark for them to surpass, rather than something to genuinely celebrate. They turn conversations into a competition. Every conversation with them feels exhausting, like a game of one-upmanship. You say, "I finally finished my project," and they immediately respond with, "Oh, that's nice, but I finished mine weeks ago." It's never about acknowledging your effort. It's about making sure you never feel ahead of them. They remind you how much harder they had it instead of recognizing your struggles. They turn the conversation toward themselves. They frame your success as easier than theirs, saying things like, "Not everyone had the privileges you had. You wouldn't have made it without help. Back in my day, we had it much tougher than you do now." The implication? That your success isn't real because they had to work harder for theirs. They are uncomfortable with your growth if they sense you are evolving mentally, emotionally, or professionally. They start making subtle jabs at your progress. Instead of supporting your new ambitions, they plant doubts in your mind. "Are you sure you can handle that? You're changing too much. You used to be different. You think you're better than everyone now, don't you?" Instead of seeing your growth as something positive, they view it as a threat to their ego. Why they do it? Jealousy and insecurity. Your success reminds them of where they fell short, making them feel inadequate. Control and superiority. They fear losing the upper hand in the family dynamic, so they try to keep you in your place. Validation seeking. Their self-worth is tied to being better, so they constantly seek ways to prove they are ahead. But here's what you must understand. Their competition with you is not about you, it's about them. How to respond. 1. Stop playing their game. The best way to handle someone who thrives on comparison is to refuse to compete. You owe them no reaction, no validation. Epictetus once said, "If someone succeeds in provoking you, realize that your mind is complicit in the provocation. That means you hold the power. The moment you stop feeding into their competition, their control weakens. 2. Shift your focus to your own growth. You do not need to prove anything to them. Your journey is your own. True success is measured not by how much better you are than someone else, but by how much better you are than you used to be. Focus on self-improvement, not comparison. Your growth is personal. It does not need validation from anyone. When they try to compete, simply disengage. Let them race against their own insecurities. 3. Set emotional boundaries. Recognizing toxic competition is step 1. Step 2 is protecting your peace. Limit how much personal information you share. If they constantly undermine your achievements, stop giving them access to your progress. Redirect conversations. If they start comparing, change the subject or disengage. Remove yourself from their validation-seeking behavior. You do not need their approval. 4. Surround yourself with genuine supporters. The right people will celebrate your victories, not feel threatened by them. They will cheer for you when you win and lift you when you fall. Your family is not just the one you are born into, it is the one you choose. Seek relationships that inspire, not drain. Invest time in those who uplift you, not those who compete with you. True support is not measured in words, but in actions. Walk your path, unshaken. You are not in competition with anyone but the person you were yesterday. Let them compete with their own insecurities while you focus on your own journey. 3. They constantly manipulate your emotions, the silent war on your mind. Few things cut deeper than emotional manipulation from a family member. Unlike physical wounds, which heal with time, emotional wounds from manipulation linger, creating self-doubt, anxiety, and confusion. Family should be a place of safety, where your emotions are understood and respected. But when someone close to you twists your words, denies reality, and makes you question your own sanity, they are not simply difficult, they are dangerous. Manipulation isn't always loud and obvious. It doesn't always come in the form of shouting, threats, or outright control. More often, it is subtle, insidious, and designed to keep you emotionally off balance. At first, you may rationalize their behavior. Maybe they don't realize what they're doing. Maybe I'm overreacting. They had a tough childhood, so I should be more understanding. But over time, a pattern emerges. One that leaves you feeling drained, uncertain, and questioning your own reality. Common manipulation tactics. 1. Guilt tripping, turning love into obligation. This is one of the most common tactics manipulative family members use. They remind you of everything they've done for you, not out of love, but as a way to control you. After all I've sacrificed for you, this is how you treat me? I raised you, and this is the thanks I get? If you really cared about this family, you'd do what I ask. Instead of respecting your boundaries, they weaponize their past efforts to make you feel guilty for asserting your own needs. Over time, this makes you hesitate to say no, afraid of being seen as ungrateful, even when their demands are unreasonable. 2. Gaslighting, making you doubt your own reality. Gaslighting is a particularly cruel form of manipulation because it erodes your sense of self-trust. A manipulative family member will deny past events, twist your words, and make you feel like the problem. I never said that. You're imagining things. You always overreact. Stop being so sensitive. That never happened. You're making things up. Over time, you start to doubt your own memory, your own emotions, and even your own sanity. You begin asking yourself, am I really remembering this wrong? Maybe I am too sensitive. This is not a misunderstanding, it is control. They want you to question yourself so they can rewrite reality in their favor. 3. Emotional unpredictability, keeping you off balance one day. They are warm, kind, and affectionate. The next, they are cold, distant, or cruel for no clear reason. This hot and cold behavior creates anxiety, making you feel like you have to earn their approval or walk on eggshells to avoid upsetting them. One moment they praise you and make you feel loved. The next they ignore you or give you the silent treatment. When you try to address it, they dismiss you as dramatic. This inconsistency keeps you in a state of emotional dependency, always trying to win back their affection. And when they finally give it, you feel relieved, reinforcing the toxic cycle. But real love is not conditional. Someone who truly loves you will not make you earn their kindness. Why do they do this? Power and control. They enjoy having control over your emotions and behavior. Insecurity and ego. If they make you doubt yourself, they feel stronger in comparison. Fear of losing influence. If you stop doubting yourself, you might realize you don't need them. But here's the truth. Their manipulation is not a reflection of your worth. It is a reflection of their insecurity. How to respond. 1. Recognize the pattern. The first step to breaking free is awareness. You are not crazy. You are being manipulated. Trust your instincts. If something feels off, it probably is. Keep a journal. Write down interactions to confirm that you're not imagining things. Talk to someone you trust. A fresh perspective can help validate your experiences. 2. Set emotional boundaries. You are not responsible for their moods. Their emotions are their own responsibility, not yours. You do not owe them constant explanations. If they twist your words, disengage. Limit your emotional investment. Don't let their actions dictate your feelings. Think of it this way: if someone was physically harming you, you would protect yourself. Emotional harm is no different. 3. Detach from their control. The Stoics teach us that clarity is our greatest weapon. The moment you stop reacting to their manipulation, you reclaim your power. Do not argue with a manipulator. They will twist your words. Do not seek their approval. They use it as a tool to control you. Do not expect them to change. Focus on protecting yourself instead. Marcus Aurelius once said, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." That includes the power to say no more. Reclaim your peace. A family member who constantly manipulates your emotions is not loving you, they are controlling you. You do not have to play their game. You do not have to prove anything to them. You do not have to accept their reality as your own. Instead, you have the right to step back, protect your peace, and choose relationships that nourish your soul. 4. They never take responsibility for their actions. The endless cycle of blame. Some people will do anything to avoid taking responsibility for their actions. They twist reality, shift blame, and distort the truth, not because they don't understand what they've done, but because admitting fault would mean losing control. Dealing with a family member who refuses to be accountable is exhausting. Instead of resolving conflicts, you find yourself trapped in a cycle where nothing ever changes. No matter how many times you try to reason with them, they will always find a way to make themselves the victim. At first, you might try to justify their behavior. Maybe they just don't realize how they come across. Maybe I need to explain it differently. They had a tough past, so I should be more patient. But over time, a pattern emerges, one that leaves you feeling frustrated, unheard, and emotionally drained. Signs to look out for. 1. They always blame others for their mistakes no matter what happens. It's never their fault. If they forget something important, they blame you for not reminding them. If they hurt your feelings, they accuse you of being too sensitive. If something goes wrong, it's because of bad luck, other people, or the universe itself, never their own actions. I only said that because you made me angry. You're the one overreacting. I didn't do anything wrong. If you weren't so difficult, I wouldn't have to act this way. These statements are not apologies, they are deflections. Instead of owning up to their mistakes, they turn the blame around so that you feel guilty for even bringing it up. 2. They rewrite history to make themselves the victim. If you try to confront them about something they did, they will deny, twist, or distort the past until you start questioning your own memory. That never happened. You're imagining things. I never said that. You're putting words in my mouth. You always make things a bigger deal than they are. This is a form of gaslighting, meant to make you doubt yourself so that they never have to admit fault. Over time, you start wondering, am I really the problem? Maybe I did overreact. But you are not the problem. The problem is their refusal to take responsibility. 3. They dismiss your feelings with, "You're too sensitive," when someone refuses to take responsibility. They will try to invalidate your emotions so they don't have to address their behavior. Instead of listening to how they've hurt you, they shame you for feeling that way in the first place. Wow, you really can't take a joke. You're too emotional. You make everything personal. You're always trying to start a fight. These tactics make it impossible to have a healthy, honest conversation. Instead of resolving issues, they silence you, making you feel like your feelings don't matter. How to respond. 1. Stop expecting accountability from someone who refuses to grow. The hardest truth to accept is that some people will never change because they don't want to. No amount of reasoning, arguing, or explaining will make them suddenly take responsibility. Instead of waiting for them to change, accept who they are and decide how much space they should have in your life. If they refuse to listen, stop trying to make them understand. The Stoics teach us to focus on what we can control, and one thing you can't control is someone else's willingness to grow. 2. Prioritize your peace over endless arguments. You do not have to prove your pain for it to be real. If someone refuses to acknowledge your feelings, that is their failure, not yours. Do not engage in pointless arguments. You will never win against someone who distorts reality. Walk away when necessary. You are not obligated to endure emotional exhaustion just because they are family. Marcus Aurelius once said, "Waste no more time arguing about what a good man should be. Be one." Instead of fighting for an apology you'll never get, invest that energy into yourself. 3. Limit your emotional investment. Some battles aren't worth fighting. You do not need closure from someone who refuses to give it. You do not need validation from someone who refuses to see the truth. You do not need to carry the burden of their emotional immaturity. When you stop expecting accountability from someone who refuses to take it, you set yourself free. Final thoughts. Your peace is worth protecting. Not every betrayal deserves redemption. Some wounds cut too deep to be repaired. Your peace is worth more than toxic loyalty. Your self-respect is worth more than someone's empty apology. Your future is worth more than your past. Have you seen these warning signs in someone close to you? Share your experience in the comments. Your story might be exactly what someone else needs to hear. If this message resonated with you, hit like and subscribe for more Stoic wisdom on protecting your peace. Check out the next video. It's one you don't want to miss. Remember, walking away isn't losing. It's winning back yourself.